Well, give us your name and what you do.
And my name is E.T. Brown. I am a Manager of Creative Services at SESAC.
All right.
So I'm basically the rock pop writer rep here in Nashville.
Okay. And what goes into that? What's kind of like the behind the scenes on your day to day? And
yeah, so my day is completely driven by who's calling and emailing and needing help with a wide range of various things. And obviously, I like my job as it being kind of twofold. One is obviously finding those writers to sign to SESAC who are going to enhance our licensing value and grow our repertoire in the direction that the company is wanting us to. And then two, it's maintaining the writers that we have signed. So like I said before, just kind of that's where the emails and calls come in, and it can be anything from administrative help as far as like, hey, I lost my password and need to reset it, or hey, I've moved and I can't figure out how to change my address, or hey, I messed up this song registration, can you help me fix it? Those sorts of brick and mortar type things, to the more creative things, which are obviously a lot more fun, that range from, hey, I just made this demo, can you give me some feedback, let me know if this song sucks or not, or hey, I'm looking to maybe meet some new people, do you have some writers that you think I may be a good fit for co-writing to connect them with, or hey, I'm thinking about pursuing a publishing deal, can we talk about how what I should be doing and what strategies, So a lot of it is just kind of sitting down with the writers and helping to sort of strategize and give them advice on how to navigate their career. And that's different for everybody, I think that's one of the equally exciting but frustrating things about the music industry is that there's no step-by-step process, there's no guide to really follow these things and you're guaranteed this,
Right.
But there are a million different ways that it can happen, and you just got to try every one until the right song hits the right ear from the right person at the right time, and then boom, you're at the next level, and then you're figuring out the next steps from there, And so it really is this game of perseverance, and
totally.
And so it's fun kind of getting to be almost like a sort of coach on the sidelines of being this is what you should do. You should go you should go see this band. You should be hanging out at these clubs at night, helping to steer them to find that place where they're going to find that avenue that takes them up.
Yes, and I think that's interesting of what you're talking about, because there's so many tasks, right? There's so many tasks that you can follow, right? And we're always, I'm talking with artists all the time, we're all about tasks. I'm all about the task schedule, right? So I'll have an artist talk to me about what's the best way for me to be doing my social media, right? We'll just say social media, or PR, whatever it is. What is the right way to be doing my social media? And it's funny to me because the task is do it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you can't do it wrong if you're doing it, right? It's kind of like, hey, there's so many things that, there's a bunch of, you have to register your songs and get the registration with your PRO at a certain juncture. That's a task. There's probably a right way to do that. That's what you're there for. But whether that song is going to break through and be successful, pursuing a publisher, like you were saying, pursuing a publishing deal or something like that, sure, there's tasks that you can fulfill, networking, that move you closer to that, but eventually it's going to come down to the art.
Absolutely.
Cutting through. What's something that, you've seen, you guys, you handle so many writers. What's the thing that stands out to you artistically that you go, that's it? What are some things that you see make an artist stand out?
Yeah, no, I think the first thing that comes to mind that really makes me perk up when I see somebody who I think is special is there's a certain level of being genuine to them. They're not trying to be like something that they've seen before. Maybe it's a blend of a lot of things that they've seen before, but they're doing it in their own way.
Okay.
But there's something that really stands out as far as like, oh, you're you and there's not another you.
Okay.
You know, because I feel like especially with especially the rate that trends change these days, it's kind of easy to spot the ones who are just kind of following what they think they should be doing, rather than being themselves in the art. And to me, that's what again really makes people stand out. Is like, okay, yes, now we have 1,000 bands that sound like this, but like, so the ones that come out of left field and don't sound like that are the ones that are like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And if it's cool, then I'm going to keep paying attention.
Do you think, like, I think that's interesting, and I think sometimes, how do you think that an artist knows when they're doing something unique?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, there's just a feeling of pride, I think, that you get when you land on a sound or a look or just an overall vibe that if you haven't experienced that before, it's exciting. You know, there's that level of, oh my gosh, and that, you know, I think it's building fan bases too. I see more and more the more engaged fan bases are the ones that feel like they've discovered something, you know, like a gem in the rough, you know. And especially these days with, I mean, there's 10,000 records coming out every day, you know, so the fight for most artists is to rise above the noise and really shine and not get washed away by, all right, we put out a record today, but like tomorrow 10,000 new records are going to come out. And then the next day, and then 3 days later, you're like, oh, I'm the 30,000th new record in the existence, you know, and it's hard to rise above all of that. So, you know, when I think there's a level of people and really that early engaging fan base that is looking for something different, something new. They like to discover things. And so having something where if you stumble across that, if you make a song and you're like, well, I don't know how to describe this to somebody, but it sounds like me and I really love it, like, then you're onto something. Yeah. You know? I
think that's great. With so much we're saying like, well, who do you sound like?
Yeah. There's so much of that. Everybody wants to compartmentalize and subgenre tag, and now they're coming down. There's so much blending going on that now people are just literally saying specific. Oh, it's this artist meets this artist meets this artist, and it's like, there may be influences from there, but like, you know, the ones that you can't really tell them how it sounds. You just say, dude, I don't know how to tell you what this sounds like. It rocks. You just need to hear it. Then that's like, that intrigues me. Instead of like, oh yeah, they're like an indie alt rock band, and like, you know, that could be anything, you know.
Yeah, and not for the lack of trying. I think sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know, we haven't really bothered to classify it. It's like, well, maybe try. Maybe try to classify it so you can kind of give us a lane here. But I think truthfully, I know what you're talking about when you're talking to an artist and hey, what do you guys sound like? It's like, hey, you know, you just need to hear it. There's no one answer. That's great. That's really intriguing. I think circling back to the steps to take and the tasks and stuff like that, I think that when you're creating art and then you put it out there and it is unique and you're doing it through these tools and these avenues that are available to you, you're gonna get that feedback that's like, this is unique, but maybe not the other way around, right? Like if it's not unique, people aren't necessarily quite as quick to say like, hey man, you're not unique. For sure. They just kind of, that's kind of nice. Right.
And that is something to, I think, be aware of, you know, and perceptive of when you are getting this feedback. Like if all of the feedback is lukewarm, then you need to kick it up a notch. You know, you're not going to get anywhere by being lukewarm. You know, you need people being like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know? And when you start getting, and not everybody is going to react like that, but you want at least some reaction at that level to know that you're onto something. If everybody's like, yeah, this is cool, man, good job, you know, like, and then nobody shows up to the
High
shows.
five.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, this
Well,
must not be striking a chord with anybody.
One of my jokes is like, people will say all the time, like, you need more people than your mom to like your music, right? But my thing is like, yeah, but also like, maybe make sure your mom likes your music.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of, maybe start there.
Yeah.
Like if mom's like, it needs work, then it definitely needs some work. So SESAC, tell me a little bit about, so the differences for the artists, you've got ASCAP BMI are open, right? SESAC's a little bit more exclusive, is that right?
Yeah, we're definitely we're much smaller by design. We are highly selective. I think we're kind of, the best way to describe it is that, we're kind of like the PRO that you graduate to.
Okay. Yeah.
It's, and especially where we are now, where we've grown to a point where, we are really just looking for those people who have significant activity going on, and are looking for a place where they can make more money where they're at and get a little bit better service than where they're at.
Sure.
Because we really do pride ourselves on building strong relationships with our writers and being there as a team member, more than just a collection society. And and I mean, there's, it's like there is anywhere in the industry. It's it's about finding your champions, and no matter where you're at, as long as you've got somebody you have a relationship with that knows who you are and really wants to work your stuff, you're going to see a lot better results than being somewhere where you're just a number and don't know anybody, So we eliminate that whole sub-layer of people who don't have relationships with their PRO, where the people who are with us, obviously there are people that were signed by older reps years and years ago that have been out of contact, but for the most part, anybody, and especially going forward, anybody who's coming in, before pen hits paper, before you're signed into a contract, you have to talk to somebody. We have to establish a relationship. We have to establish the fact that, hey, we think you're really awesome, and hopefully you think we're really awesome and we should work together. Versus at other places, you can just sign up online, and then it can be a frustrating experience when nobody calls you back, which why would they? You're one of 600,000 people that may or may not even have a song registered, There's only so many hours in the day and so many people answering those phones. So our vibe is very much kind of on that more selective higher service sort of thing. And a lot of what we do, beyond the collection of royalties and things like that, which we do have historically and consistently, outpaid our competition, which makes the sell pretty easy. But beyond that, it really is tailor-made to each individual writer and what level of relationship they're looking for. We have some writers who come to us and they don't really need help with anything. Their career's firing on all cylinders and they've got all the pieces in place, and they come with us to get a bigger royalty check, and they're all smiles, and we might see them once a year at a holiday party somewhere, and that's groovy.
SESAC brunch at South by Southwest, maybe.
But then there's other people, that, like I had mentioned before, that want, that are looking for feedback on demos, or just looking for advice and help on how to connect some dots and put some pieces together, and so we really do depend on each writer. And I tell them when I'm meeting with new writers, like, I'm depending on you to drive the level of relationship that you want. I'm here to help with anything that you want. There may be things that I can't help with, but never hesitate to ask, because if you don't ask, you don't get. So. And there's plenty of times that people will come in and meet with me, and they'll have like a list of 6 things that they're, goals that they're looking to achieve, and I'll be like, well, I can't really do anything about these 2, but these 4, let me send some emails around. Let me see if I can get you on some radars, and send some links around, and see if we can drum up any interest, and just things like that, where it is very much we're able to drill down to a really case by case basis, and that's why you don't see us have a lot of like expos and seminars and things like that, because we don't have a need to answer the same general questions to a room full of people. We're able to sit down one-on-one and say, what are your goals and where can I help?
So let's talk about graduating too. I like that, the PRO that you graduate to. So, and what you said was, you're looking, obviously, I think everybody in the music industry is obviously always in discovery. So you discover somebody that's super hot and like really, really top talent. we're probably bringing them into the SESAC fold based on, hey, this artist is really great. But one of the things that you mentioned there, too, is like you got to have some stuff going on, right? So maybe there's a situation where an artist is like, hey, if you're just starting out, are you saying, hey, it's fine to sign up for ASCAP or BMI or something like that at a start point, and then they graduate to y'all, and then if that's the case, what are some metrics that we can give to the artists that kind of say like, hey, these are some things that when you see these things happening is when you're maybe moving into a place of graduating into a more hands-on relationship with SESAC.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think some of the things that we look at, I mean, obviously from a performing rights organization standpoint, where we derive value is public performances. So if you're getting to a point where stuff starts getting on radio, start getting stuff placed in TV shows and advertisements and things like that, and then touring as well. If you get into a point where you are playing theaters, and doing runs, where you're getting out of the small club phase and doing significant, consistent touring at that level, then that's stuff where it becomes of interest to us, to be that something that we can do something with, and really help leverage those performance rights to get better money than it could be elsewhere. I think yes, just starting up, it's totally a good idea to. I mean, obviously you need to be with a PRO, but I just recommend anywhere, not just PROs, but anywhere you're looking to. I mean, talk to somebody before you sign a contract somewhere. Just establish a relationship and know what you have to make real expectations as far as what this is going to be and what it can do for you. Because if you just
have an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And with PROs, because there is one basic function that we serve, but there is this like amorphous other layer of it that is completely dependent upon the relationships. There's a lot of misconceptions out there about what PROs are there to do for you.
Right.
I talk to people all the time of like, oh, I want to come to SESAC because you guys got my friend a publishing deal and I'm at ASCAP and they haven't set me up with any publisher meetings. It's like, well, have you talked to anybody at ASCAP? That's not their job, and us we didn't get anybody a publishing deal. We may have made the connection, but they got themselves a publishing deal.
Right. They're really great music.
We may have helped facilitate that, but
they're really great songs.
Like I said, it's not because ASCAP didn't get you a publishing deal doesn't mean they're not doing their job.
So you don't have a drawer of publishing deals.
Yeah, exactly.
That you can hand out.
Yeah, it's not just like a lottery ticket Friday. Like, oh, who gets a pub deal today? Yeah, it's not. It doesn't work like that at all.
I think a big misconception too is the TV and film aspect of it. I have a lot of artists who say, oh, I want to be with SESAC. They'll help me get my song in TV and film, and I think there's that, so you guys are battling that a lot, right? Like,
for sure.
We can make some introductions, and we're having conversations,
and we're happy to. And it's stuff that we believe in and think like, yeah, this is cool. When we have relationships with, the sync licensing world, and are happy to send links around and say like, hey, check this out. If this is somebody that if this is something that jives with what you're working on, let me know and I'll connect you to, and then you guys can chat and see what happens from there. And we do get, and there's also just the general music industry knowledge, in the terminologies where you use the term licensing can mean different things. So a lot of people do see like, oh, you have a licensing department? Like, oh, can you get my music to them? And see it. It's like, no, it's not that kind of license. They're the kind of people that get the money that we pay you.
Licensing goes both ways.
Yes.
There's licensing on both sides of this, and I think that's a big part of it, right? Is this failure to maybe realize as artists that for where the job starts and ends, and the fact that SESAC is there to handle really once you are on TV, you're making sure that they're getting paid.
Right.
It's not your job to get them on TV.
Exactly.
If you're able to help facilitate that, that's a perk. That's great.
Yeah.
But that's not the job. and I think that goes across the board for so many things in the industry and for artists, is the misconceptions of, down to booking agents, managers. There's so many misconceptions. I can't tell you the number of times that we had, I want a manager so they can book me shows. What? That's not what a manager does. Nope. Like if a manager does book you shows, that's great. It's really nice.
Yeah.
But that's not. And so there's all these misconceptions. I think especially, in your guys' world. So when the artist starts to see radio play, they're touring, breaking out of the club circuit, seeing some TV and film. So there's a lot of steps that go into getting all that traction going.
Yeah, for sure.
Ahead of time. And then because you guys are a little bit more selective, also just making sure that the art is really
most definitely, yeah. I mean that's number one thing is we got to have a rep that connects with the music and wants to work with it. It ultimately, I think anybody anywhere who signs something that they're not really into is just a disservice to both parties, because they're not going to work it as hard as it deserves. And that, I know too many people who have signed deals with big shiny names on the building and then got put on a shelf because they didn't actually have a game plan. They were just so excited to be with legendary company XYZ.
Yeah.
That they didn't think through that. Oh, but yeah, you also had a deal from a smaller, lesser known place, but there was somebody there who was chomping at the bit to get your stuff out there and work on it, and that
really
might have been a better route to take.
Sure.
Rather than going with the more established sort of thing, and that's another sort of just caveat to traversing and trying to navigate this business is, there are opportunities for missteps every day,
Yeah.
And so unless you really know what it is, what your goals are, what you're wanting to achieve, you can be led astray.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I find when I'm looking at somebody. I'm really attracted to people who have a clear understanding of who they are and what they want to do.
Yeah.
The ones who come in and say, all right, this is what I want to have, a record out in the next year. I want to, they have specific goals, and I want to meet these people, and these are the scenes that I want to be a part of. And it's like, okay, sweet. Those are targets that we can take steps towards every day.
Yeah.
If it's just I want a record deal. Okay, well, what kind of record deal?
Right.
I just something where they put. Okay, well, we have a lot of work to figure out before.
My favorite is the record deal that they don't want. I can tell you one thing. We're never signing a 360 deal. Have you been offered a 360 deal? Well, no. Well, then maybe when you get offered one, maybe we talk about it.
Yeah.
Maybe we consider it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of we're not doing this or we're not doing that, maybe with a less understanding of why.
Yeah.
So I think that's great hey, this is what we want to do. I think another thing that you mentioned on a lot, the leading astray and some of the pitfalls that I've found is a lot of times, even with the work that we do with artists, they'll say, hey, who can you connect me to? And they're coming to us saying, hey, who can you connect me to? And then other times they'll say, hey, why'd you decide to work with that producer? He's got a lot of really great connections to this label or to that label. And I think that sometimes, frequently, just the completely wrong approach to why to work with somebody. A producer having connections to this label or to that label, at the end of the day, if they're hired to make your record, and a record that you like, they don't have to like it. So identifying back to jobs and what people's job is. A producer's job is to make a record that you like as an artist and to achieve your artistic goals. It's not necessarily their job to go out and take it to labels or their connections.
Yeah.
I think so often we're like, obligating people into like, you have to do your job really well, and then you also have to do all these other things that aren't a part of your job. And we're making artists are making choices off of those things.
No, I mean, it's something that, again, I think you're right. It just goes back to the overall education of how things work,
Yeah.
I think, yes, going with a producer who has, just knowing what connections producers have is a great thing to know, I think, and the more you can keep in mind as you're out and about and building your contacts and constructing your network of people, knowing in your brain, like, okay, this person works here and they've worked with so-and-so and so-and-so, and where you can start to connect this web in your brain, again, will help you, traverse it. But you never want to have that be at the forefront of, why you're making decisions, and you never want to just come out right and you never want those people to feel like you're putting them in your web of connections. You need to do that, but you need to also realize that, and especially in Nashville, where it's so easy to talk to people, like you can run into people at a bar and have a great conversation, and that's where the best business I've done has been like at Red Door, like just meeting people and chatting with them, because like their walls are down there, they're not in their office, you're not hitting them up for anything, you're just wanting to get to know them, and people, especially people who've worked in the industry for a while, have a really good sense of when somebody is talking to them and when somebody is trying to use them. And the second that you get a whiff of, oh, this person doesn't actually want to, we're not hanging out, they're trying to get something from me, those walls go up, and you're not going to get much further with that person.
Well, and when you're trying to use somebody for the job that they do, that's okay. When you're trying to use them for something that they don't do is where they start to go, I thought you wanted me for what I do. Not for what I like, not for my friends.
Right.
And I think that happens so much where it's like, ooh, it's like, is this and I think producers are a good way to have that conversation, but it's the same thing with PROs or managers or anything like that. You could have a young producer who's so excited about your music, and they're also networking, they're also trying to grow their web. I think it can be better to have somebody who's young, excited, out there networking, and you're the best thing they've worked on.
For sure.
So they're out networking, they're trying to grow their network. You got to check out this artist that I just worked on. We just finished their record, is amazing, as opposed to maybe the seasoned guy that's doing tons of records and you're one in the pile. And they do a great job, but they're not out, hey, you have to check this out,
Well, that goes back to like we were talking about before, striking that balance between working and getting, doing the work and meeting the people and building that network, and having the art, having the goods. Well, I just want to build a team so they all do it and I just make the music. Like those days are gone, man. You have to do more.
And even if you do get that team, it's still in part, you still have to be in charge. You still have to be leading the charge. That Lady Gaga documentary on Netflix is a great example of that. She's got the biggest team ever, but she's like, here's what's up. Here's what we're doing. Here's where we're going. This is and just in charge, man. I think that's great. Well, hey, so last question for you. Who is somebody that you're excited about right now? What's some music that's caught your attention?
There's a pop artist, which I think in Nashville right now, the pop movement that's happening is just super exciting. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening. But there's a kid named Spaz Cardigan that is just phenomenal. And like we've been talking about, he has all the goods. He's got all the songs, and he's just a great guy. And really smart and really focused and driven. And he's one that I'm inspired to be on his team. Like I want to go tell the world about him, because of how hard he works and how good his music is. So that's definitely
awesome.
One that
I saw Spaz Cardigan at I think a Housequake 8 off 8th. I think.
Yeah.
And which is really neat what they're doing over with the Housequake shows. It's just great, focusing on the pop, new pop music. And Spaz is great. That's awesome. Well, hey, thanks for coming and chatting with us and having this conversation. And for people to get more information about SESAC, obviously CSAC.com.
Yeah, that's all.
And then you guys do some events, different types of things.
Yeah, here and there, and we sponsor stuff at conferences and festivals and things. So
I think that's the big thing, right? Come out, connect, talk to somebody.
Yeah,
shake a hand.
Yeah, nobody is looking for anybody who's sitting in their bedroom right now.
Yeah,
they're all the people who are out and about and getting their faces in front of everybody are going to be first in line anytime an opportunity comes up.
That's awesome, man. Get plugged in. All right. Thanks, dude.
Thank you.